You know what I find interesting about Trouble TRO's Pink Benefits webcomic that he does? It's the fact that even though it is a very erotic, adult-oriented SFM webcomic, there's actually more to it. There is a story. Even though most of the time, we see the characters, the main protagonist characters, getting intimate with other people as well as themselves. But that's not the only thing that kind of helped make this story popular, as it is in the eyes of a lot of fans. That's not the only thing. As a matter of fact, other situations have made it very popular, and as a matter of fact, one of those situations recently made a return. They did. It recently made a return in the more recent part for Chapter 17. Yes, this story's been going for that long. And what made its return is Betty, the other female protagonist shapeshifter we have in the story alongside Emily, basically, deciding that her mission that she was sent on by her husband, fiance, is complete. And she wants to basically, try to get out of the situation, try to get out of the place, mansion she had to infiltrate to get the information she needed. She basically, deciding that her job is done, decides to, like I said, decides to, get out of there. And she goes back to utilizing a form that obviously has become very popular with a lot of viewers, a lot of readers, a lot of supporters, if you will. And that is her slime form. That is her melty, gooey slime form. Basically, where she's able to turn her body into pure liquid, to pure goo and slime, melt down, and basically use that as a form to disguise herself as part of the background, or, in this case, to try to escape from, this kind of a situation that she's in. And several of the people, like myself, actually were happy to see this Betty, as they put it, back in action. That, to them, finally, we're getting the Betty that should have never left returning. Just like inevitably we'll get Emily coming back too, but that's a unique scenario in its own right, because Emily, in the male form of Ethan, as they, if you will, are getting it on with this girl, decides to go gooey and enter inside of her, and even thinking to herself, thinking to herself that she has no idea what's gotten into her, and that all of a sudden she wanted to be inside this girl, that being Emily, because she wanted to be, a part of her. It's like she wanted to be inside of her to be a part of her, to become part of her, something like that. So we're left with a cliffhanger whether or not she, does go inside this other girl and merge with her eternally, and thus they become one, and she becomes a new version of herself, along with this girl as sort of like, I guess you could say, a new friend, a new passenger, or whatever. Or maybe just someone she convinces to give up her existence and be one with her. Who knows? But, everybody was interested when they saw that, part of the story for Emily coming back, because it was going in the direction that we're seeing here with Betty making that return as well with the slimy, gooey stuff. But why? Why is this probably the biggest, I guess you could say, excited, moment, in the story, in a story series like this? Why? Well, I can tell you why. Because when you give shapeshifters, either the male or female or whatever, when you give the protagonist characters these kind of powers to do whatever they want, to become whatever, whoever they want, and you do it in an environment, in a setting that's very adult-oriented and erotic and NSFW, of course, one of the main areas that these characters would want to go in, one of the directions, is the goo route, the slime route, the tentacle route, if you will. Because there's just something more, I guess you could say, more exotic and erotic about it. And the fans and viewers of these, and the supporters, I should say, of these kind of stories, the followers, if you will, they feel the same way. They feel basically like, yeah, you add this to the story and things are going to get really interesting and really fun in a very quick way. And as we saw with Trouble TRO's last major story, his collab with Mr. Internet Man, which was the epilogue to Agent Pink 2, Agent Pink Bedlam's Revenge 2, where basically Veronica DeMonica and Betty end up getting it on to the point that they reduce themselves into nothing but gooey red and black slime, and Veronica DeMonica, using her powers, is able to get Emily over there by making it look like, Betty wants to see her and everything, and then she teleports her to the location where Emily's a little like, okay, what's going on here? She sees the red and black goo that the girl, her friend and DeMonica Veronica have become. And then that's when you see this tenderroll, a combined red and black tenderroll going up. And that's when she gets the idea and decides, okay, I see what you guys did. You know what? Since I have shape-shifting powers too, I'll join in the fun. And that's what she does by becoming a turquoise green slime tenderroll that merges with the red and black. And everybody was excited about that. In fact, everybody was excited about it, way before the moment happened, when we saw a little preview of that scene when Trouble TRO was promoting, he was promoting the story. That's when we saw it. That's when we saw it. And again, the reason they were excited by it, because they knew, hey, if they go this route, things will really get interesting and fun in a hurry. And they did. The moment they went to that part towards the end of the story, that's when a lot of fans considered it picked up. Which is why they're kind of glad to see, in the recent part of Chapter 17 of Pink Benefits, they're happy to see, Betty going back to being, a slime girl, to not only make her escape, but maybe set up something in the future with her and Emily, because we see Emily doing the same thing recently, several parts before within the same chapter. Now, again, I know people wonder, well, why is that the more exciting? Why is that looked at as the more erotic thing to do with these kind of stories? Well, it's real simple. It's real simple. It's because of the fact that, sometimes in these kind of stories, you're bound to get something happening as a result. You are. I'll give you a good example. Like I said, Trouble TRO and even Joven16 have collabed with this person, and that's Mr. Internet Man. Well, one story Mr. Internet Man did on his DeviantArt page was a multi-page webcomic called Walk on the Wild Side. And it involved Minor Dash Alterations character Ruby Walker, having an intimate weekend with DeMonica Veronica, who was going to share her powers with her, but do it in a way that Ruby has become immensely, addicted to, immensely, enamored with, if you will, enamored with, if you will. And that's becoming a goo girl, a slime girl that just melts down into a puddle, and acts like, and acts like basically, I no longer exist kind of deal, because she's just a puddle. Now, here's the thing though. You might ask, well, what does this have to do with that? Well, the end result basically is them getting very intimate with each other in their forms, thanks to, DeMonica Veronica kind of coaxing, and encouraging Ruby to let go and give in and all that. So they get very intimate and all that with each other as time goes on. on, as time goes on, to the point that as they're literally getting wrapped around each other and everything, which is, I guess, the equivalent of getting towards the moment, that true moment, epic moment of intimacy, if you know what I mean. That the moment they hit that peak, because they keep, kind of just, they just keep basically tying, what's the word, snaking around each other. They keep snaking around. They keep basically going around each other, basically, wrapping around each other. That's what I'm saying, wrapping around each other so much and everything, that it's the equivalent of getting close to the moment, their peak, if you will, that when it happens, they literally collapse over because they've, wrapped around each other so much. They are basically becoming like a leaning tower, and they end up falling over. And by falling over, both the slime colors, both the slime bodies combine into one. Yeah, they literally combine into one, and the next thing you know, you hear them both speaking simultaneously as one. You hear them simultaneously speaking, as one. Or you read that they're simultaneously speaking as one, because now, since that peak occurred, and they've collapsed, down to the point, and they basically collapsed down to the point that they'll literally, combine together, mesh together, red on purple and all that, like a like a swirly red and purple ocean, if you will, mixed together in colors. By hitting that peak and letting that happen, their minds have also melded together. The minds have also merged together to where they're both thinking the same thing. They're both kind of thinking as one. And the end result and everything, because they want more, they want to continue it because they love the feeling, is they literally, swirl together, round each other out into a ball, and then literally explode inside Ruby's apartment, which we could assume is where it's taking place. And it doesn't take until maybe 2 days later for them to pull themselves together. But what's interesting is the end result is when they pull themselves together, for the time being, they're not there. Yeah. What happens is they end up fusing because of this moment, because of this unique peakness and everything, this intimacy they went through. They end up fusing into a new faceless black slime girl latex being. Yeah, basically a faceless, black slime girl like being who, doesn't refer to herself as, as somebody, as we or anything, or refers to herself as an amalgamation of both names. No, she just refers to herself as I. And she even acknowledges that, that the fact that it feels like she's been living two lives, but that can't be right. And when she acknowledges the fact that it feels like, because her head is still kind of like trying to, kind of work out the kinks and everything after what happened. She thinks she's basically, she starts saying that it feels like she's been living two lives, but that can't be right. Because what she's alluding to is, the memories or these images of both Ruby and Demonica's lives that can't be hers because she's just one person. And that's the end result. And that's basically the result. So what she really is just a faceless, or what they really become basically in the end is this faceless slime girl being that's an amalgamation of both the personalities and everything. But mostly it seems more dominated by Ruby, because the only thing that matters to the now faceless, identifiable merger or fusion is the body that they've created, the very alluring body, voluptuous body, if you will, and the powers of a elasticity of basically being a slime girl and everything. Powers that would, as she even quotes, allows her to turn her body into a pliable playground. But what does she do instead? and here you could kind of get an idea that it's Ruby mostly in control here, or at least, you know, a strong part of Ruby's personality and control. She decides to basically lay on Ruby's bed, spread out in the shape of the top of the bed, almost like she's a little black pool, and decides that she's going to just, you know, rest there for a while. You know, basically, as I think she alludes to before she does, as she's doing it, I should say, it's just a big puddle of joy. Yeah. And that's why, getting back to the pink benefits, and, you know, Betty's return to doing the slime thing, and then even before that with Emily, if you will, it's, you know, it's reasons like this. It's reasons like this, and reasons for, like what Joven 16 did in the recent Amanda and Nicole series. It's reasons like that that fans are into seeing this kind of stuff incorporated into these kind of stories, because the end results could end up being, you know, interesting. They could end up, in some cases, being, you know, a fusion of both into someone new, even if that someone doesn't know who they are, and they're just more of a amalgamation of both characters, but with one character's personality more assertive and influential than the others, because, you know, they want to, you know, enjoy the powers and everything that come along with this new body. And like I said, I think that's why everybody was happy to see this return of, you know, the slime situation with Betty, you know, and all that, because now, once we get Emily back into the forte, however that's going to be, like I said, we don't know if, you know, she's going, and that's a notification from my phone, I do apologize. We don't know if she's going to, you know, completely merge with this girl she's met as the male Ethan, you know, because like she alludes to, there was something there was something about wanting to go inside this girl to become part of her and all that. So we don't know what the end result's going to be. We don't know if they're going to merge together and become a new version of Emily, and the girl's going to be like, you know, a passenger, or she's just going to really be willing to let herself be absorbed into Emily and maybe be allowed to pop out whenever. We don't know. Or we don't know if they're just going to have some intimate play together, and there might be a moment where Emily just pushes her face out on the girl's stomach saying, "Do not worry, we're going to have some fun and everything. I'm not here to hurt you," and all that. So we don't know. We don't know, but it's stuff like that. You know, it's stuff like what she did with that girl, what Betty just brought back, that fans are happy to see this, because what they're hoping, and they may not say it now, and we may not see it for a while, but with what they're hoping, ladies and gentlemen, is that when these two, basically Betty and, you know, Emily, get back together, what they're hoping is for both of them to share their unique new abilities they have to become slime-like, goo-like, and use it to get intimate with each other, and potentially lead into maybe them become infused together because of the intimacy, you know, as a new person. But again, we don't know when or where that might happen. That's up to Triple TRO. But I will say this: if and when it does happen, I guarantee you, Triple TRO, if you're watching, you know, or Prov, or what is it, POVRARR, Provi, something. But Trouble, you know who I'm talking. You know I'm talking to you, Trouble. But yeah, you know as well as I do, TRO, that when you get to that moment, whenever that might be, whether it's in the next few weeks, in the next month, later this year, you know fans are going to be excited for it. You know those that support you on Patreon are going to be praising you for that moment. You know it, because they can see that that's where you want to head towards. That's where you want to lead towards. But right now, you're holding back. You're holding back right now because you want to tell some of the story, and you want to see how this other girl will react to finding out that the Ethan she's been seeing, or that she was getting on with at that club, is actually a shape-shifting girl who is maybe going to befriend her and maybe, I don't know, give her, a taste of her powers and all that, or maybe just, again, merge with her, become a new Emily, and the girl gives herself up willingly to pop out once in a while just to enjoy life. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting, I will say that, because I know you're going to have something interesting planned for that. But again, they could see, they could feel, they believe that they know exactly what direction you're going in. And it's, even though it may not seem like that, obviously, right now, it definitely feels that way. Because now they got both girls going in that route of gooness and slimeness. It's like, the end goal has got to be them getting together for a good time with each other, and them going in that route and direction, with a possible fusion as a result. I mean, again, when the Amanda and Nicole thing by Joven 16, reached its recent conclusion to, not completely, but its recent conclusion to its recent chapter. You knew that when both girls went to that latex, like slime-like deal, that you were going to get a fusion. And we did. And in fact, one of them even said, now let our minds and thoughts become one. In other words, let them submit themselves to the new existence for the time being. It's like you knew that was going to happen, and it did. And you knew it was going to happen, the moment you saw previews of them going that route. The thing is, Trouble TRO, the thing is, what fans are expecting, and that's why you're taking your time, because when you get to that moment, you want fans to have something that they can, they can look back on and they can enjoy time after time after time. That is what you're hoping for. That is what you're hoping for, and that's why you're taking your time to get to that moment. And I don't blame you. I mean, honestly, I keep coming out and saying that, Dizzy Arts, Divan Art, the one that does Metamorphosize to Malleability, that great series, I'm always saying that I believe it's only a matter of time before Crystal ends up getting similar, if not the same kind of powers and abilities that Briella has, and both of them are going to end up having a very intimate, moment together, when it's all said and done, to the point that they could probably end up fusing together. Who knows? But the point that I'm getting at is getting back to the topic here. This is why people were excited. This is why people were happy. They were excited that you brought that back for the recent chapter. Why they're glad to see this side of her back. Why they're glad to see this power being used, this transformation, because they know it's going to lead to something more. They do, and that's why everybody likes to see that done in these kind of stories, whether it's by you or Joven 16 or Mr. Internet Man, and whether it's via webcomics or even written, if you will, or typed up. They expect these kind of moments to happen when characters, mostly female, and I say that with all due respect, no offense, get these kind of shape-shifting powers in these kind of, adult-oriented erotic stories. So again, that's mainly, my friend, why, and folks, mainly why people, are happy, to see these kind of things come back when they haven't been seen in quite some time. They are. But honestly, folks, that's all I can really say for right now. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below. I know some of you do follow Trouble TRO on Patreon and support him and everything. Tell me what your thoughts are. Comment, like I said, comment below. Live chat during premiere, and I will talk to you later. You will get an audio podcast version of this eventually as well. In fact, I will probably have plenty of time tomorrow to do that, so that you guys get plenty of audio podcasts that are due, that are basically on my podcast affiliate, my podcast series, which you can find at all podcast locations except for Pandora, you will get a lot of audio podcast versions of some of the videos I've done recently, so you can listen to those on, when you want and on your way home or whenever. So, again, guys, give me your thoughts overall. Live chat during the premiere. Love to hear from each and every one of you on this. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you all later. Peace out.